Today we're going to look at a very special word. I'm choosing these words not only because they are interesting words, concepts, but more than concepts, this word and ones that are coming up, they are practices. These words we can put into practice. And so I'm going to explain how, what the word is, some synonyms, some different contexts in which we use the word, and then how we can put the word into practice. Okay, so if you're ready, let's get started. Hello, my name is Tanya Meyer. I'm founder of Confident English Training, operating at the intersection between efficient language acquisition and use, the practice of awareness raising. This is a much more holistic approach to language integration rather than learning, language assimilation, and happiness, joy, well-being. What's not to love? If this is something that interests you off the bat, then you will find a link to apply. Confident English Training is aimed at expert professionals, people with work experience who are already at an advanced level. Right. So the word of the day is diligence. Diligence. Do you know this word? Do you know what it means? I'll give you some synonyms and some different contexts in which the word, according to how I'm going to use it in this video, is used in other contexts. We're going to focus on this aspect of the word. Okay, and some synonyms are effort, care. So careful effort, alertness, attention, vigilance, readiness, attentiveness, goodwill. Goodwill. So this question of goodwill is a part of the connotation surrounding the word diligence, preparedness, willingness, and also persistence. So all of these words combined are kind of what diligence means. Now, I remember this word being used in business because, as you may or may not know, I used to work in the shipping industry and I was in the marine insurance industry for about 10 years. And in that context, the term due diligence was used a lot, meaning all the efforts that are made in order to prevent any accident related to the ship, the crew, the cargo, or port installations or sailing or anything like that. You might not know this, but moving a ship full of cargo from A to B is a huge undertaking, and so many people in different professions are involved in moving things from A to B. It's the ship's responsibility, and I suppose it would be the same thing, for example, on a plane, on a train, on a truck, any transport vehicle, to make sure that everything is working well prior to the in this case the ship sailing. So making sure that the integrity of the ship is intact, that it's watertight, that the motor is working well, that there's sufficient fuel and food for the people, that the conditions, the working conditions are good. You know, that all of these things are part of what is called due diligence. It says here, the effort a company makes to minimize risks and avoid mistakes. Okay, so that is due diligence. And another area where diligence is used a lot is in law. And it is the care that a reasonable person takes to avoid harm to other persons or their property. So that is diligence in sort of regular everyday terms, and some areas of business that use the word. But the way I want to use it with you here today is to talk about a deeper aspect of diligence, this question of right effort. Why right? Well, because there are wrong efforts, right? There are many people that put a lot of effort into something, but then the results are not what they were looking for, they were not what they were expecting, or the results are not good results. And so this is why I say right diligence, because right diligence is not right or wrong in judgmental ways, but right in a way that is conducive to well-being, happiness, joy. And so that is what I want to talk about today in terms of the word of the day, diligence, applied to your English. So how can we do that? Well, there are 4 aspects to diligence, and we are going to apply them to how you can improve your English, okay? The first aspect of diligence is that we have many potentials in our being, but let's say that in our mind there are many potentials, and while they are potentials, then they live in an area of the mind which is like a store consciousness, it's called. And you can imagine store consciousness as a huge limitless warehouse of different potentials. So the first aspect of diligence is that if there is a potential that is unhealthy and unhelpful, but at the moment it is just a potential, then the first aspect of diligence is that you make the effort to make sure that it remains as a potential and that it doesn't manifest as a thought or an action. So what could this be in terms of English? Well, thoughts like, oh, English is so difficult, I can't do this, I'm not able, English isn't even helpful, what do I need English for? Like all of these ideas that prevent us from making progress. These are thoughts and ideas that are not very helpful. So in this first aspect of diligence, if they are just potential thoughts, in other words, they are not active right now, then diligence tells us make sure that they stay like that. Make sure that they stay as potentials and don't encourage them. The second is when the potential becomes manifest. When the potential becomes manifest, then with diligence, we make sure that the manifestation goes back into a potential. We cannot liberate ourselves. We cannot be free from thoughts that are not helpful about English, for example, especially if you've really worked hard to get to where you are, how much dedication there's been, and that you've struggled, then it's natural that we're going to have unhelpful thoughts about it. But in this second aspect, if these thoughts manifest, or even if you are acting in a way that shows that you think that, oh, I don't need English isn't helpful, forget it, I'm not even going to try, what's the point, my English is terrible, I can't do this, all of these defeatist thoughts that then manifest as, well, I'm not even going to try, then what we do with diligence in that case is to encourage those thoughts to go back into the potential store area of our mind, so that we can make the effort that we need to make progress in English. We can calm unhelpful thoughts about English that have manifested without suppressing or fighting them by recognizing the thoughts, smiling to them, inviting other thoughts to replace them, reading some inspiring words, listening to a piece of beautiful music, going out for a walk, and many other things that we can do to bring ourselves to a more helpful place. The third aspect of diligence is cultivating wholesome, helpful ideas and actions. So let's put this into the context of making progress with English. You are putting right diligence into practice when you are engaged with English, when you're thinking constructively about English, when you feel that you're making progress. Perhaps you're watching one of my previous videos that gives you tips and ideas about how to use YouTube to improve your English. I'll leave a link for that video down in the description box. And you're making concrete efforts to make progress with English. Then if that is the case, if you notice that you are doing what you need to do to make progress with English, then you are implementing the third aspect of diligence. And the fourth aspect is to prolong the period during which you are actively engaged. The teaching is that if with right diligence the conditions are such that well-being is evident in your life, then continue to put into practice everything that you have done to create those conditions. So apply to English. Then think about all the efforts that you have made to be where you are, feeling happy and joyful with your English progress, and continue doing that. One of the analogies is, imagine that you receive a visitor at your house, and this visitor is so pleasant, and you're having such a wonderful time with this visitor. They are polite, and they're keeping you company, and they're telling you stories that you're really interested in, and they are just very joyful. Then what do you want to do? Well, you want the visitor to be happy and to stay as long as possible, right? Knowing that it is not possible for things to last forever because things change. And so what we want is to prolong as long as we can these favorable conditions with diligence, these favorable conditions for our progress to take place. Of course, I also talk in this channel about taking a break, resting, when that's necessary. Sometimes it's necessary to rest a lot, and being diligent and noticing when rest is necessary is also part of the art of making progress in whatever it is that you want to make progress in. In this channel, we're talking about making progress in English. So diligence is one of my favorite words because it's this kind of attentiveness, it's this alertness to what is going on. In order for me to know what is going on, I need to be mindful, I need to be aware of what is going on. And in order to be aware, we need practice, because just like any talent that anybody has, musicians, athletes, professionals, you're not born knowing how to do things. if you want to become an expert chef, then you need to cook a lot. If you want to become an expert athlete, then you need to do a lot of sports. With music the same, in your profession the same. So really making the right efforts to become experienced in whatever you're interested in is part of what diligence is about. You need diligence to become polished and experienced in anything, really. And so diligence isn't only the effort that you make, but also the awareness of what effort is needed in any particular moment. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I think diligence is a wonderful word. I hope you like this video. I hope it's helpful. If it is, then please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. And you can also find out more about my community, Confident English Training, by following the link in the description box below, applying for a call if you're ready now, and I'll see you in the next one. Take very good care. Until then, bye for now.